Yo-ho, what's up? We're reading a new chapter of One Punch Man. This is called Turning the Tide. Another fairly ambiguous title. Could be referring to any number of fights, could be referring to any direction that tide is now going in, from any direction that it may have been going before. We return first to Garo versus Blackluster, or Black Alloy Shine, or something. Whatever his name is. In the last chapter, he had unleashed some pretty devastating attacks on Garo. But Garo's still standing strong, looking more monstrous by the time. Not just his speed, but his power is also increasing. And another really kind of iconic looking punch. We talked about this before, that I think they do a really good job, of course, with like Saitama's punches, conveying like the huge physicality of it, despite it just being like a normal looking guy. That it like has the representation of the actual weight and force of the punch. And with Black Alloy Shine, Luster, Soldier, whatever his name is, it's kind of different insofar as like he actually is that beefy, but there's still this kind of like exaggeration. Like if you look at the size of the punch, which is backgrounded compared to Garo, it makes his fist look like 3 times bigger than Garo's is. So it's the same sort of scaling up with Saitama, but it isn't so much about the juxtaposition. It's more about like, this is the real form of those muscles. Whoa! And Garo with just one thumb, just like that, deflects the punch. His hair blowing in the breeze generated by that fist. Oh, I love this shot too. Garo just like stepping into his space, ready to unleash the combo. It always makes me think of like Melee and fighting games and stuff. Like just the feeling of getting in, the feeling of because they whiffed something, because they overextended some combo or something, and suddenly you're just in there. And you know that like anything you do is going to land. You know that you can start up your most like punishing combos, you can do the most like disrespectful, bizarre things because like the world is your oyster. Like the psychological damage of just like look at his face right here. Mr. Dark Alloy Shine. He knows exactly. He just got opened up. The psychological damage is immense. But then also the physical damage. Extremely immense. This is a pretty cool cascading ripple effect type thing. Garo's been knocking people into concrete for many, many arcs now. Many chapters, but they still managed to spice it up. They still managed to make it seem more and more impactful. Whoa! And he coughs up blood. And this really makes me think of a few chapters ago when they're talking about how all of these S-class heroes, for years, were just untouchable. That any monster they were dispatched to fight was trivial. That they had forgotten fear. That very, very slowly did fear creep back into their minds as a totally forgotten and unknown sensation. He used me as a stepping stone to further improve his techniques. All this sand. Why is there so much sand? Was it disintegrated by Garo's attack? The concrete stone walls or whatever were not just knocked into rubble, but disintegrated into sand? Is that what's happening? That's unreal. Aren't you a hero? Aren't you here to stop my monster play? I'm still kicking. And we see this kind of swirling miasma that at first you think it's just his tattered clothes, but it's becoming some sort of bizarre, monstrous force swirling around where he was punctured, where he was actually stabbed all the way through his body. It's fairly in line what we've seen as monstrification of other people when they eat monster cells, or like Phoenix Man was trapped in a suit, and like all of the competitors in the martial arts contest, when they ate the monster cells, their clothing and stuff became part of their demonic appearance. So it seems like the same sort of thing is happening to Garo as well. Because don't forget, like, it's very established in lore that eating monster cells is far from the only way to monsterize. In fact, the vast majority of monsters we've encountered were either natural-born monsters or transformed into monsters through just normal stress and vengeance and inhuman desires and stuff. So is this a sign of Garo's monstrification? The way his clothing reflects his innermost heart? Ah, the backstory. This looks very similar to it how it does in the webcomic. And this sort of narration, which doesn't happen too often in the remake, really reminds me of the webcomic. Really seems to carry that energy. Just the matter of factness it has. The hero Super Ollie Dirk, when he was a child, he was bad at sports because of his feral body. So simple. What more could you need to know? It's so straightforward. Whether it was sports or tag, he kept on losing in every game he played. He never developed any self-confidence and lived his childhood as a wimp. On his 15th birthday, he begged his parents to buy him 3-kilogram dumbbells as a present. From then on, he exercised with them every day. The weight of the dumbbells gradually increased to 5 kilograms, then 10 kilograms. Several years later, he was able to curl a 50-kilogram dumbbell with one arm. As the days went by, 200 kilograms, 500 kilograms, 1 ton, 2 tons. After 7 or more years, the strength he was able to attain through that body had reached a point where it could no longer be quantified by numbers. Through his lonely battles and flawless victories, he successfully established an immense degree of self-confidence. And he also went bald. It's quite interesting. So many parallels with Saitama. The feeling of kind of being rejected by society, feeling of weakness, of just wanting to overcome at least one type of weakness. And then training, and doing training that isn't super well, I mean, the Saitama workout is pretty intense. The 10K running every day is especially insane. No serious runner would ever tell you to run 10K per day. But the rest of the workout seems kind of reasonable. It's not like supernatural or anything like that. And similarly here, he just lifted weights. He just lifted weights, and then at some point, lifting weights became a inhuman, beyond the pale, superpowered thing. And he also went bald. Or did he start shaving his head? Unclear. After thoroughly dominating various sports and competitions, he turned his attention to the Hero Association, became active on the hero stage, and never stopped his training. He kept on winning and was eventually promoted to S-Class. And he has never stopped looking for a great opponent who can push him to 100%. It's pretty cool. The way he fights, this straight-up one-on-one physical combat, he really has no peers within S-Class, right? Like, there's martial artists that probably would be able to incapacitate him in some regard, like Bang or King, question mark? Like, I'm trying to think from his perspective, right? There's, of course, like, Tatsumaki could just tornado him like that, probably, but in terms of the sort of fight he wants to have, I don't think he's ever been given it before. But now, with Garo, is he really looking forward to a fight? No. He is terrified, maybe? Ooh, I like in this top panel where for the first time you can see a distortion on his cheek, that he actually gets punched properly. This guy, Garo, is strong, really strong. Been looking for an opponent who can push me to 100%. This is it. Why? What is this feeling? Not looking forward to a fight, but a gratifying victory. He never intended to be thrown into a fight, the outcome of which he can't control. The instant the thought, I might not escape this fight unscathed, flashes through his brain, the fear he had long since forgotten grew larger, and then... This is amazing. Just the way this is depicted, like the paneling, the jumping between kind of his mental representation, thinking of his past self and his present self. The shot of his body surviving under a rain of punches, helplessly trying to block. This very abstract bottom panel of just impact shots and splatters of blood. And then, only on this page, when they introduce what it is at the heart of this mental state of his, the fear, do we finally see, after this absence, what it is that is assaulting him. Look at the way Garo is depicted. It's just all movement, all speed lines, and the hollow white eyes. Gigantic. Yeah, look at that. That's so cool. This is how Garo appears to him now. This is how probably the entire world appeared to him when he was that sniveling, weak child. But now he has faced something that makes good and then some for everything he had feared as a child. Everything that he felt insecure about, that he felt incapable of dealing with, that he felt was antagonistic and out to get him, it was real. It was this spiky-haired asshole. This hero hunter. He musters up his courage. He screams. Another big swing. But look. I like how this is done. It's like before, the way it was depicted was the big fist coming at you. His entire body, like gear third, his entire body being thrust into the hugeness of that fist. But now, after he's kind of being outmaneuvered, after the fear has crept into him, what we see instead is the aftermath of the punch. And it's not some huge fist anymore. It's a whiff. And for all of the speed and strength that this attack conveys, Garo isn't even in the panel. Only his blurry after image of an after image is escaping from the top. Double ear strikes. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. Garo hesitates? I don't remember this. I don't remember this from the webcomic. And if you look below, you'll see the comment pointing out which page and panel this happened in the webcomic, I'm sure. But I don't know. I really like this stuff. This is really interesting. So again, something that I think this series does really well, that I just keep focusing on because I think it's a good like workshop in understanding how this works in manga in general, is thinking about each panel, whose like perspective is it? And not every panel necessarily has a perspective. Like the top panel of this one, that's just like what's happening. Then this next one, the appearance of Garo here, it's like it's agreed upon between the both of them. This is really how Garo is feeling. And then this top panel, of course, is Garo's perspective, right? So we kind of shift from the world of the objective, and slowly we refocalize through Garo. Then we see how he sees his victim. Then we see in his mind the memory of seeing that other bullied kid, and of Garo himself being bullied way back when. And he softens. Look at the way he softens. Such subtleties in all the different design choices. Not all subtleties, you know, this series. Not always the most subtle, but if you really think about what's going on with Murata's art here, it's pretty neat. Gets back up. He's confused. Why did Garo hesitate? With that wimpy look. It's almost like I'm bullying him. Evil I'm going to become far more... Ooh, but the residual damage. Oh, is that it? Or is he getting Tatsumaki'd or something? I was going to say, in his moment of hesitation, it's like the pain finally catches up with him. He finally realizes how hurt his body is. But now there's this like orb of light. Yeah, Tatsumaki-chan. is I think it's time to do the flip. He's about to flip it. Put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. I was trying to do the Missy Elliott song. Do you guys know that one? I don't know. I like this that he calls out to Garo. He wants Garo to survive. More than anything, he just respects how strong Garo is, and he thinks it would be so tragic if such a bright martial arts talent was crushed here. Perhaps run. Okay. Why did I say that? And just as he says it, he sees Garo once more and is terrified. Nope, that's it. Ooh, the Psychos Orochi formula's design is based on neurons. Oh, I think I read that before in the Discord. I guess so? Yeah, it does look like that, I suppose. I don't know, it's like when you see microscope footage of neurons, they look a lot simpler than this. But that's because, like, the kind of outermost filaments of it, oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. That doesn't do you much good. The dendrites and stuff, I don't think typically show up under a microscope. They're too thin. So instead it just kind of looks more like this. Yeah, like this is kind of what I picture neurons looking like. Something like this, I don't think this is actually part of the, like, I don't think that's an actual microscope picture. I think this is. Anyways. But yeah, if you look at these like diagrams of neurons, that's exactly what the Psychos fusion looks like. The Psychos fusion with Orochi. Okay, good chapter. Hopefully there'll be another one soon enough. Bye-bye.